Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's back. We're live here. Okay, there we go. And we're live. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Let me just take a moment to get myself set up. Okay. Shoot. Okay. Here we go. All right. Oh. Okay. So I'm just gonna wait a moment to start. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me because that would be terrible if I was muted the whole time. Okay. Okay, so I do want to preface that. Sorry. Okay. I do want to preface that I do have notes for this. Let me start over. What we're going over in this stream is Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. It happens February 20th, 2026, and possible effects on different countries. So I do want to preface that I do have notes for this, but I feel like my notes, I wasn't really feeling my notes, let's just say. So I am also going to be analyzing the chart, and there are going to be moments of when I am not speaking as I am looking at the charts. So I just want to let you guys know that ahead of time. Okay. Well, hello, spiritual gangsters. Can you hear me out there, or is my mic not working? Hold on. Okay. Okay. I'm on a little bit of a delay here. So let's begin. Okay. So this happens in 2026. Okay, great. All right. So what is this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries? Why is it so important? Why do I feel that it is such a big deal? So 0 degrees of Aries is called the Aries point, or a world axis degree. It's the exact start of the zodiac. It's like the New Year's Day of the entire zodiac. It's like a cosmic reset button. It is large shifts into the world, bold and in a noticeable way. Starts a brand new cycle, becomes louder and noticeable, and affects the collective, not just the individuals. It will affect individuals as well, but on a larger scale, it will affect us worldwide. Now, we have not witnessed and experienced this Saturn-Neptune at 0 Aries in thousands and thousands of years, so I feel that no one really knows what exactly is going to happen. But it's a big deal because it's a reset of cycles. We could say reset of countries, reset of finances, reset of everything. So it is a big deal. And that happens on February 20th, 2026 at 11:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So when this happens, okay. When this occurs, Saturn and Neptune will be at 0 degrees of Aries. The houses right now, what I'm looking at, do not matter for the fact that in each country it's going to be different. But when this happens, both Saturn and Neptune will be sextile to Uranus and sextile to Pluto. This in itself is a big deal because it is bringing in these new energies, sudden shifts, sudden awakenings, sudden changes for the collective. And this is positive, this sextile. The energy is, they're talking to each other in a very positive way to make positive changes. So while this Saturn, Neptune, 0 degrees of Aries will be likely to cause disruptions in many areas of life globally, we also have this harmonious Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus energy coming in to help to usher in this new energy in a way that is beneficial to people. Saturn and Neptune, I do believe, will cause disruptions everywhere. But again, the Saturn, this sextile with all these outer planets, I feel is going to give this undercurrent of whatever is happening is for the good of the collective. It's making a change for the positive for people. And I feel that people will be looking at the world in a completely different way. So it is very good that this is occurring with these positive outer planets. Mars will be in a square to Uranus. This is sudden action, sudden uprisings, sudden anger, uprisings, protests, sudden shocking news, sudden shocking things occurring. What I could see for this is that Neptune dissolves to take away the fantasies, but it also reveals what is true, what people need to move to. Saturn restructures. So with this Mars and Uranus in the square, I could see this as governments trying to implement things to keep control of power, to keep control of what has been the old, to keep their place of power. Let's see. Uranus will be at 27 degrees of Taurus. This could also be earthquakes and very large earth changes as well during this time, because Uranus does cause earthquakes, does cause solar flares, like a tendency to to rock the planet, to usher in this new global reset, we can say. But people could be also uprising and protesting against different things that governments are trying to, because governments could be trying to hold on to power. People will likely be reactive to these changes all over worldwide. I feel that this is going to be a shocking shift, sudden shocking shift that people are not prepared for, they're not ready for. It's only going to be unexpected, shocking, and quick. But again, we have these positive outer planets that are happening in this sextile that is, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a destined type of energy. This shift, these changes, even challenges that could occur during this time, it's like people will look at it as it's destined to happen, to bring in more of a positive for the planet. People also could be awakening or thinking in new and different ways. It's very spiritual. It could be these positive outer planet transits as well. Sudden epiphanies, sudden people coming together also is another thing. People coming together for a cause, for the good of the world. Okay. That's the overall. Now, something that is interesting is that December 22nd, there is a lunar occultation to Pluto. I did not know what this was. I had to look this up. A lunar occultation is similar to an eclipse of the sun. It's when the moon passes right directly in front of a planet, temporarily blocking it from the Earth's view, similar to an eclipse. It's with Pluto. This doesn't happen very often. This is kind of rare. It's happened, perhaps it was last decade it happened. It doesn't happen every day, we'll say. So it's emotional, subconscious reset of power, transformation, truth, hidden material rising to the surface. This could be like the tipping point, the very beginning of this shift of the Saturn and Neptune energies coming together. I feel like this could be like the something that's occurring within the planet that causes things to happen and events to happen worldwide. That is the gateway to this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It'd be very interesting to see what happens, but it's like it's going to be like the start of all this energy, of this disruption, of these changes. Pluto is very powerful, taking away what no longer is serving anybody. So during this time, we could have a lot of power moves trying to be made. Power grabs, I guess, is another word we can say. But I feel that people could try to block this or try to come up and rise up against these power moves that could be made by different countries. Okay. So now let's move on to countries. Now, to be honest with you, when I was looking at this, it's a lot of information to take in. I was a little bit confused on how I was doing it. So what I did was I looked at Saturn and Neptune, what house it was in for each country, if there were any transits happening during that, exactly on that day, and what who Saturn and Neptune were talking to in the natal chart of the country. There's a lot more to look at. I mean, this is just like the tip of the iceberg, but I needed a starting point to get a overall feel of what the themes could be. Now, this is just the themes that I'm looking at, because there's so much in a birth chart that each country, we could spend a very long time looking at analyzing each individual, everything that's going on in the chart. But I wanted to not make this hours and hours long. So that's what I looked at. Okay. So we're going to do China first. There's no particular order of any planets or any countries that I'm doing. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Okay, you can. Okay. So China. China, for the date of birth for China, I have June 15th, 1953. This is when the most recent constitution was made. Beijing, China, 12 a.m. is the time. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Aries in the 8th house. Right here in the 8th house in Aries. Every chart, it's always going to be in Aries for every country, but different houses. 8th house has to do with shared resources, institutional banking, finances, but on like an institutional level, government banking, government finances, not the people's finances, but the finances of the country. So this is pretty big, actually. And different countries have it in different houses, but for them, they have it in the 8th house. Finances, the country's finances could be undergoing some changes, revealing information, perhaps about some corruption of finances in the country itself could be coming to the surface. BRICS is another thing that could be affected by this, because some of the BRICS countries that I have here that I looked up where Saturn and Neptune are, it seems as if the theme is that they could have to go back to the drawing table and redo some things in the BRICS countries for the BRICS to be to move forward, to come out, to be very gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? To be very useful, to have it work with all these countries. So there could be some delays with BRICS. But for China itself, they could have some things come out that have to restructure their finances. Let's go to my notes here. Yeah, let's go to my notes. Okay. Dissolving and so Neptune dissolves, Saturn rebuilds, restructures. Funding, debt, secrecy, hidden debts, shadow banking, major reforms and disillusion within the financial sector of China. And if certain things come out, certain secrets are revealed about certain things with China's finances, that will lead to transformation of power within the country of the leaders. There can be some internal control systems or leadership structures that try to tighten before there is a dissolving of these finances. Remember, with Saturn and Neptune, before changes will occur, most likely you'll see things, rules, laws, regulations getting stricter and trying to be tighter to hold on to that power that they have. So before there is this financial restructuring, there could be some maybe new rules, new laws, new something put in to try to make things more strict around the finances, trying to hold on to that power. Exposure of secrets, corruption, and intelligence matters may surface. So exposure of secrets is a big deal here because the 8th house does reveal hidden things. It's ruled also by Scorpio, digging deep into the depths of things that are not seen on the surface. So a lot of things could be coming out about China that causes them to have to do this financial restructuring. During this time, Saturn and Neptune will square to natal Mars as this Saturn-Neptune occurs. Now, this is challenging. Obviously, it's a square. Squares are challenging. Excuse me. It's in the 11th house in the sign of Cancer at 0 degrees. This, I feel, is going to really... China's really going to feel this very strongly. Public unrest will likely be occurring. People speaking out, maybe organizing groups within social media or on social platforms, building a plan for taking action, possibly against the governments. There is unrest, I want to say, in China. China going to war with other countries. Let's back up. This could also be signifying that China will be changing its allies, changing enemies, changing people that it associates with. And there could be some strong tensions within the international associations that they do deal with. Do I see them going to war, though? I see this more of war within the country, with the people fighting against the governments more so. Again, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, and there could be some fights with other countries, but I see this more as an internal war with the people against the governments, because it's in Cancer as well. Cancer is like the domestic home front as well. Let's see what else here. Okay, I do have BRICS here. Could face tensions, renegotiations, fractures. I don't know exactly what all these BRICS nations have agreed to and what their contracts are with each other, but the restructuring, renegotiating of BRICS could be something that comes up. And perhaps from this, maybe something else comes about. Maybe something different comes about. Because remember, this is starting a cycle reset with the whole entire world. What is happening now, with the systems that we know, everything that is happening could just be totally taken off the table and having to make new systems. That's something else that could happen as well. Maybe BRICS, something happens with all the countries and they realize, okay, we have to do something different because maybe this BRICS plan is not going to work. Okay. So I have a note that I do have as many challenges before being rebuilt, restructured. The people look to take actions against the government to build a better system. And I do have, again, question with war with other countries. It is a possibility. But I feel, again, this is more of an internal war with the people against the governments. The chart ruler for China is Mercury. Virgo is where the ascendant is. Mercury is the planet that rules the ascendant. Mercury will be in a square to the MC and the IC. Mercury is in the 7th house. Transiting Mercury will be the 7th house in Pisces. And it's coming to a conjunction with the descendant. So that's why it's squaring the midheaven and the IC. Communication issues within the country. Communication with the people, because it's squaring the IC, the homeland, the home front, and communication issues and tensions with in global affairs as well. Mars will also be opposite to natal Pluto during this time. This is aggressive tension. Hidden enemies is also the 12th house. A power grab, a coup of some sort. People within the country, I feel it's more people within the country trying to overthrow the government. But there could be some outside turmoil with some other countries as well, with other partnerships that they have, with different alliances that they have. I see this more so with BRICS, but when Uranus moves back into Gemini, which will be next year, I don't know the exact date, I believe it's in March, that's when the words could start to take action if there are having disagreements with other countries. But with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, I don't see it as fighting with other countries. I see it an internal fight, but it could turn external with a different transit of Uranus entering into this 10th house. Yeah. Let's see what else here. Okay. So there's no transits to the moon, the natal moon. Okay, the natal moon. No, there's no transits to the natal moon. Although during this time when Saturn and Neptune are conjunct, Chiron will be sextile to the natal sun and Mars will be trine to the natal sun. That's the country itself. Possibly healing wounds of the country, possibly action. There's going to be some sort of action, I feel, in an uprising within China to heal the wounds of the country, to heal the people's wounds, to heal struggles that they've been dealing with for many, 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 many years. China most likely will try to fight back against the people. Action being taken, the country taking action, but in a positive way. So perhaps China does begin to listen to the people, having conversations or working with the people to change how governments are. But I see this more as an internal fight with the people, conflict, the people of China rising up, fighting back again, possibly a coup occurring. Okay. Let's move on to Russia. Yeah. Russia, I have the date of birth is December 25th, 1999. This is when the Constitution, I'm going by when constitutions were written, because that is the changing of the government, the changing of the rules, laws, regulations, and everything. So it's December 25th, 1999, at 17:45 p.m., which is 5:45 p.m. Saturn Neptune conjunct in Aries, that's in their 9th house. This has to do with the philosophies of the government, the philosophies, how it looks to the world. Not so much financials for Russia, because it's not in the 8th house. This has to do more with foreign allies, other foreign countries that it has associations with. Could be changing allies, could be changing its partnerships with people. The ideologies, the philosophies of the country could be changing on a global level, perhaps different global, say global dominance, but global, perhaps possibly having a different global mark or job or view of Russia globally. Something that could be occurring. The people viewing Russia differently, the world viewing Russia differently. And it has quite a few transits happening with it. Mars, transiting Mars, will be square to natal Pluto. The Sun, transiting Sun, will be opposite the Moon, and transiting Venus will be sextile to Uranus. Natal Uranus in the 6th house, and the chart ruler of Russia is the Sun. Okay. Okay, so let's go over what this could mean for Neptune and Saturn first. This is China. Hold on. Okay, so 9th house. And I wrote these down: where, how, and what. It's happening in the 9th house. Has to do with travel, beliefs, higher learning. For a country, it would do with international alliances. How, expansion of truth, exploration, and what, with Saturn and Neptune, structure, discipline, karma, dreams, spirituality, and illusion. Foreign alliances and policies could be changing direction. The global stance in the world, their stance on different policies and different situations could be definitely changing. I see this. International alliances will likely be changing. Issues with treaty sanctions, borders, and international law intensify. So international alliances could change due to different treaties, sanctions, or borders, or international laws that happen. Meaning they could go through some challenges with different treaties and different agreements that they have with different countries, pushing them to have different international alliances, shifting their policies on different foreign policies in different direction. Education is another thing here. They could have changes within their education system, within their universities, maybe how they're teaching, maybe some sort of, perhaps changing how they do universities to college students. Perhaps, I don't know if they have free schooling for universities there, but perhaps they do some kind of radical shift so they allow all people to be able to have the opportunity to attend university regardless of their income, to give them opportunities. Cultural shifts and beliefs and changes. So cultural shifts is a big deal here with Saturn and Neptune. It could be I don't know much about the culture of Russia, but what they do now, it could be completely different. I'll use an example. Okay, in the 1960s, they had, flower power hippies. I'm not saying that's where it's going towards, but some kind of complete cultural shift as to what they do and have now. People could be wanting to break free of different and challenge the societal norms, breaking the rules of the society. Could be something. Okay, so Saturn, Neptune are squaring to Russia's natal sun in Capricorn at 3 degrees in the 6th house. This has to do with day-to-day things, health, organization of the country's daily work of the people. And what? Because it's the sun, the identity of the country, the vitality, the purpose of people's daily lives could be changing. So day-to-day systems could be strained. They could be interrupted. Military, and I have service sectors are pressured here. The changes that occur within these sectors will likely have an influence on the entire country of Russia. Leadership challenges, stress on authority figures and the national direction. Because it's squaring to the sun, this sun in the chart is the country. So it could be dissolving, I don't want to say dissolving its government, but having large changes within the government, perhaps them changing how they do, maybe even how they do their voting for the next president of the country, something changing radically within the country, especially if there's leadership challenges. I see this as more of them changing how they elect their leaders, who their leaders are, and possibly even changing the power that different leaders do have over the country. But the direction of the nation will also change because of this. Identity conflict, tension between Russia's practical needs and the global ambitions. There could come a point where Russia is wants to have a certain stance in different global areas of life, but perhaps it's affecting the people. And they're going to have to find a balance in between the two of those, because they want to take care of their country, but they could be overreaching to other parts of the world, or they could be maybe trying to invest in other places and not investing into the country, which they're going to have to turn around and do in order to have the direction of the country go in a more positive direction. I see this as a definite shift in the country's direction. And this could be on the world stage and within the country as well, but the direction of it, the identity of it, how it's viewed will also likely be changed. And this will likely be at some point for the better. Yeah. Especially with the international alliances changing, shifting in foreign policies and changes, they could be coming out and the world could be embracing them more. Yeah. It's a square, so it's going to be a sudden shift, a sudden change, but this change is going to be for the better. And that change could, them going and concentrating on their home front, could make the whole world see them in a completely different view, for the better, for Russia as well. Health and workforce issues. Nation's workforce, health, public, military readiness could face restructuring. Public health is, I don't know what they do with their health services, their health care, but that could be something that is changing and shifting. I know some countries have free health care for people. I don't know if Russia has that or not. If their workforce is getting older, that could be another reason that the workforce is changing. Perhaps they have to figure out how to get people, younger people, to come into the workforce and take these places. Or they could be even moving more towards AI, and the workforce shifts because of that. Because people are getting older and they don't have people to fill these positions, AI could be coming in, taking a lot of these positions, and therefore the workforce is changing as a whole as to what job opportunities they have. And that would actually go back to education. Perhaps they're changing how they educate, what they teach in universities, because the jobs are shifting and changing. Okay, so the sun. So this is going to hit Russia. This is going to hit all countries. They're all going to feel it in all different ways. With the chart ruler being square, with the sun, transiting sun, with Saturn and Neptune squaring to the natal sun, there's definitely going to be disruptions, shifts, and changes within the government of Russia and leadership itself. England. I found England to be very interesting for the fact that England and Argentina were two countries that did not have, Saturn and Neptune did not have challenging aspects to natal planets. And I guess I feel it's very interesting for England because England's been around for a long time. And I guess I do feel that some countries do use astrology maybe to plan when their countries were formed and born. I didn't do this and I wanted to, but I wanted to look back at an older point in England's history to see if how Saturn and Neptune would have affected that date of when that an older part of England formed, but it didn't. But again, I found it interesting because I feel like almost like that they were preparing for this time. Maybe they knew that this was going to happen and they wanted to start their country at a time when Saturn and Neptune were having positive aspects to different planets in their chart. That's just a theory, but I do believe that some countries might possibly have used astrology to form or to know when to form their countries to have the most positive outcome for their countries. So England, January 1st, 1801 at 12 a.m. Saturn and Neptune are in the 7th house. This has to do with it has to do with partnerships, relationships with other countries, relationships with people of their countries. And Saturn and Neptune are trying to natal Jupiter in Leo in the 11th house. And I guess that's what caught my eye, that it's having a Saturn and Neptune are having a positive conversation to Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance and luck and expanding philosophies. I just found it very interesting that this country, who's been around for a very long time, is having a very positive, Saturn Neptune having positive conversation with one of the luckiest expansive planets in the chart. And it's in Leo. Leo I associate also with kings because it does have a monarchy. In the 11th house. Okay. So this is going to affect their relationships, their partnerships, finding balance within their partnerships, reevaluating different treaties and alliances. International agreements undergo large restructuring. Now, one thing I do want to say about this is I did a video with Crypto Rich regarding King Charles and England and Prince Harry, Prince William. I could see the reevaluation of partnerships, treaties, and alliances occurring, especially if King Charles does step down from being king next year, or even especially before February of next year. Because a new king would have obviously make new treaties and alliances based on what they feel is best for the country. Diplomatic idealism versus realism. Okay, so balancing England goals with real world limits and how countries deal with each other. So this is finding balance within the country for the people versus what they want to do on a global worldwide stage. There could be limits to what they can do. I know England does have ownership of different countries around the world. The different countries, Australia, Canada is still, they're independent, but they're still under the rule of the King of England. So that could be something that could be changing, actually. It's possible. I'm saying it's exactly going to happen, but I could see something like that happening, of possibly them really giving the freedom or not having ownership of all the countries that they have ownership of. Possibly. Legal agreements, rules, and agreements. Changing, they might need to change, and problems could come up in treaties, political partnerships, or trade deals. Okay. So again, if King Charles was to step down, abdicate, pass away, then all of this would be looked at. And it's trying to natal Jupiter in Leo at 1 degree in the 11th house. So this is the appearance, the identity, the self of the country of England. Confidence, expression, creativity, and that's how. And what is growth, luck, and wisdom. So opportunities through alliances, supportive relationships with international groups and networks, expansion of influence, ability to, project power and ideology through cooperative ventures. Positive reforms, optimism and growth in domestic organizations or global collaborations. Again, I think that if the monarchy was to pass on to Prince William, a lot would change. And I feel that people look at him as he's younger, and his ideals and what he wants to do for the country are much different than the traditional ways of a monarchy. So this could also be why people are very optimistic about England. Perhaps they'll fix a lot of the issues, the economic issues that are currently going on now. Yeah, opportunities through alliances. If Prince William became king, there would be new opportunities with new alliances, new ruler, new leadership, and other countries perhaps coming back to work with England or becoming aligned with England because of the leadership change. Okay, so the ruler of this chart is Venus, and there was no transits to Venus occurring whatsoever. And the moon, I have some other transits I thought were pretty important to look at. So the transiting moon in Aries at 12 degrees is squaring to the natal sun. So where is Aries? It's in the 7th house, squaring to the natal sun. Oh, in the 4th house at the bottom of the chart. The moon represents the people in charts. Sun is the rulership, the governments, could be the king in this case, and the moon is the people. It's squaring, the moon is squaring to the sun in the 4th house. Now, even though Saturn and Neptune are not in challenging aspects to any planets in the chart, the moon is very important. The emotions of the people towards the king, towards the current king, King Charles, could be they are not happy with how things are going, with the relationship of the people to the monarchy. Hold on. Oops. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Uranus will be in the 8th house during this time. Radical shifts and changes. 8th house does also represent transformation, could symbolize death. And this could be a radical shift within the country's leadership. And the moon is next to the north node. So the people wanting the country to go in a new and different direction. And it could happen suddenly, especially with Uranus in this 12th house as this is happening, this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. Changing leaders, changing the partnerships, changing the roles of the partnerships, even within the country. Now, I'm not hoping that anyone passes away, but I could see that a radical shift within the country's leadership with the moon squaring to the sun in the 4th house at the most bottom of the chart, and Uranus here in the 8th house. I could see this as a radical shift in the monarchy, a radical change of who is the king. Yeah. I don't see a financial collapse, though, for England. I know they're having a lot of financial issues at this moment. This is more to do with relationships, partnerships, alliances to the outside world, but also to the actual country. I see this as a leadership change in the country. Canada. Canada is also a very interesting chart. Hold on, let me look at the chat here real quick. Okay, I will. Just UA next time. Yes, I can. I do have United States in here. And I would like to break down different countries further, but I just wanted to give an overview. I just didn't pass off the power. Okay. What's the date again for SOOR6? I'm not sure. What country is that? Okay. Just let me know what country. I think that's a country. I want to say that could be Russia, but I could be wrong. Okay. Canada. Canada's chart is very interesting. And that's because it has Uranus on this IC line, the ascendant line, the IC line, descendant line, and the midheaven line. Very, very important in anybody's chart, and especially in countries' charts. It has 2 outer planets on the 2 of these lines. Uranus is on the very bottom of the chart on the IC, and Neptune is in Aries on the ascendant. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Aries in the 1st house. This is pretty powerful. This is changing the identity of the country. And when Neptune is conjunct to the ascendant at 16 degrees and conjunct next to the ascendant and to Neptune, I feel that is when there'll be a large cultural shift, cultural shock and change within the identity of the country. This next coming few years could be challenging. There's going to be a lot of changes for Canada, for itself, for what the country is. Yeah, this is going to cause some inner turmoil in the country. Not when it enters, it's not next to this ascendant line, but as it gets to this ascendant line, Neptune especially, and Saturn, when it moves past it, there will be some I want to say people are going to want a change in the country, and there could be some fighting within the country or people protesting to get these changes for the country. So Saturn and Neptune are in the first house, like I just said. It's the identity of the country that is changing. The government could also be going through some serious changes here. Maybe how the government governs the country. A new leader I could see also coming in. I know they have their elections I believe it's 4 years, but something bigger than that I could see happening within this country. And that could also go into England, because England does rule over different countries or still have some sort of ownership, and that could be maybe wanting to break away completely from England itself. Saturn and Neptune will square the moon in Gemini in the third house, the people. Saturn and Neptune, the people. The people are not happy with how things are going in Canada. They want change. They could be voicing their change. They could be voicing their opinions strongly, loudly. It's in the third house, so they will loudly be communicating what they want change in the country of Canada. Chart ruler is Mars. Aggressive communication. Could be some actions taken against the governments of the country to change it. Revealing some illusions about the country or possibly the government. Perhaps there's some corruption in the government, which, I mean, let's face it, what governments don't have corruption, but some sort of secrets especially could be coming out, having to restructure the entire government of Canada. National identity shift, I just said that. Redefining how Canada presents itself domestically and internationally. New leadership tone, restructuring the government, images, policies, strategic direction, and efforts to act or expand may be slow, disciplined, and idealistic. Now, I don't feel that they're going to want to expand and take over other countries, but expansion maybe of the economy, of different exports that they have. Whatever they're trying to expand upon could be slow for the time being due to the leadership changing, restructuring, the government, the whole entire government restructuring and changing. I see that occurring. Saturn, Neptune squaring the moon. Gemini, 28 degrees, the third house. This is the people, the communities of the country. People coming together. They're not happy. Public mood tension. Citizens feel unsettled, confused, emotionally reactive to what is going on due to this restructuring of the government. The people could be forcing the restructuring of government, especially. I could see that happening. Communication challenges, media information, and local connections could create fiction. There could be propaganda is something else here that could be coming out. Perhaps Canada is trying to make it so whatever information comes out that is revealed, that is uncovered, perhaps there could be these propaganda campaigns that come out to try to get rid of these situations or brush them under the rug, but the people are not going to deal with that. Policy and emotional conflict. Practical decisions and visionary goals clash with popular sentiment. Again, this goes along with government. Government, I see it changing for Canada in a big way, especially when Neptune is conjunct to natal Neptune in the ascendant, and Saturn when that's conjunct to the natal Neptune and the ascendant. Especially that could be really when it starts, and that will be next year, and I don't know when it will be next year because Saturn moves quicker than Neptune. And Mars is the ruler of this country, so I could see the people taking the actions. They're tired of things, they're not putting up with it, they're done. Lilith does square natal Mars during this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and the Sun is opposite to natal Mars. So action taken, people rebelling is something that we could start to see to change the government, to get the changes that they want, to have the restructuring of the government, of the country, of the government. United States. USA 51st state. Canada becoming the 51st state. I do see that as that if that is part of the expansion of Canada, I do see that as having some slowdowns. If that was to occur, it would not happen overnight. There would be some delays with that. It would take more time, I think, and be a little bit more complicated than people think. Yeah. And again, if that was to occur, I feel it would be the people who would be pushing possibly for that, or for the restructuring of the government of the country itself. Okay, United States. So United States, this is in Saturn-Neptune conjunct in Aries in the 5th house. And they're squaring to natal Venus in Cancer in the 8th house. So this is happening in the 5th house. This has to do with the expression of the United States, the cultural expression, but it also has to do with risk-taking, trading, and I want to say gambling, but not gambling in the sense I'm going to a casino, but gambling in the sense that bubbles bursting, people taking risks on the country itself, and these risks have come to a point where some of them burst. Let's take a look. So I say creative cultural reset, shifts in entertainment, media, youth cultural, national expression will be changed. How the culture is now, how the creativity, entertainment is dissolved. There's a lot to be said about that, because there's a lot of things going on now in the world that are, especially within the entertainment industry, a lot of things have come out about it, how it's not as wonderful as people say. A lot of things, corrupt things happen in the background within the entertainment industry that could be coming out more. And I know that's not just in the United States, that is a worldwide thing, but for the United States, it could be coming out more, and that could be creating the shift in the entertainment. Yeah. Restructuring of education, childcare, general issues highlighted could be the debt of this country. Really focusing on, okay, we're passing on the debt to our children, trying to possibly fix that, trying to get a hold of that. Education, I feel, it will be restructuring, and it definitely needs to restructure, because the way, I won't get into it much, but the education just needs to be restructured for all children, because the way it's done, I feel that it's not beneficial for all children, no matter where they are, who they are. That will be changing, which I think will be a very, very good thing. Reality check on risk taking. So speculative markets, investments, financial markets, corruption exposed over risk taking causes markets to reveal their true colors. This is why I said the bubble bursting. We have, oh gosh, what are they called? They're not securities. They're, oh gosh, it's when people, it's when there's debt that is taken and that is traded. They trade the debt. That could be something that's coming out into the light, bubbles bursting with that. I know it's a certain market. I don't remember what the market is called, but bubbles bursting, financial issues due to the risks and the gambles that have been taken within our financial markets could be coming out. The corruption could be exposed, could be bursting. Yeah. Especially on the speculative markets. I would say, though, we've seen the price of gold and silver rising higher. I could say that gold and silver would continue to keep rising. Derivatives. Okay, yeah, thank you. Derivative markets. New morale, dissolving old narratives, birthing new country or storyline, history exposed, corruption exposed, related to the financial markets. And Saturn and Neptune will square natal Venus in Cancer. This is why I also feel that bubbles bursting within the financial markets of the United States could be occurring, because Venus is in Cancer. It's in the 8th house. Venus does rule over values, financial strains, conflicts involving the shared resources, the debt that goes along with the derivatives, and national financial security could be strained. Diplomatic tensions, partnerships could be emotionally charged and unstable. Disagreements about money, protection, support, and national priorities will come into play. And I feel that they already are doing that, but more so. Public sensitivity around financial reform and crisis. This could be a time when the markets, the United States markets, the stock markets, go into have some turmoil in them, especially if things are revealed about different derivative markets and other bubbles that could burst, or corruption that is exposed around finances of the United States. With the public sensitivity and the emotions will also dictate the direction of how different markets go. And that's something that will also affect people on a worldwide basis as well. Okay, South Africa. Now, South Africa, this happened, Saturn, Neptune happened in the 2nd house. 2nd house is the values of the country. It could be finances, but it's more the values of the country. How is the country valued? How do the people value the country? It could be natural resources within the country, different values put on those as well. Saturn, Neptune will square Mercury, natal Mercury in Cancer in the 5th house, and sextile Saturn, natal Saturn in Capricorn in the 11th house. Honestly, I do see South Africa having potentially having more of a better placement within the global world stage. Their presence could be expanding within the world, on the world stage within different ways. Because also the ruler of this country's chart is Jupiter and Neptune entering into the 2nd house. It is changing how they're valued, the country itself, but how other countries do value them as well. Exact transits going on. Mars is opposite to natal Uranus. Sudden shifts within the world. within Africa, excuse me. And the sun, transiting sun, is trine to Mercury. So that is very positive. Let's go to the notes. Okay, so second house, money, values, possessions, stability, the resources, and restructuring this. Getting rid of the illusion of certain things around Africa. This could be economic reset, restructuring of national income, currency stability and resources, new financial systems possibly to emerge, renegotiations with BRICS, possibly having a stronger stance within the BRICS nations, or stronger presence within the BRICS alliance. There could be also new resources that are found within Africa that helps to strengthen the value of their country as well. Shifting in the values of the country in general, redefining what the country prioritizes financially and materially, and slow rebuilding. If there was to be an economic reset, the rebuilding could be slow. There would be the dissolving of the old systems, followed by disciplined reconstruction. Now, someone did ask me to look into South Africa, and they said that there was one ruling party for the last 30 years. This could be the dissolving of that party, a new party coming into rulership, especially if there's an economic reset of all sorts for this country. But I could see that this South Africa, it would be a bit of turmoil for a bit of time, but they would be a new set of government coming in to rebuild it, restructure it, making it less corrupt. So Saturn Neptune will be squaring to Mercury in Cancer in the 5th house. Communication challenges, debates, negotiation, confusing messages around what the values of the country are versus the illusions of what the country is versus what the country really values. Youth and education programs could face some obstacles within this, but it could be helping to break down what they have for the youth, for the education, to rebuild a better system for them. And government's plans clash with the public understanding or sentiment. And I brought this back to BRICS because I feel that they will have to renegotiate somehow. Or perhaps the people thought it was going to go one way and it's starting to go a different way. And that brings this clash of emotional sentiment towards BRICS. Especially if there's an economic reset, this will likely be renegotiated, or perhaps they start their own financial system that goes along with BRICS somehow, but it's like it's their own thing, or on their own terms. But Saturn Neptune also sextile Saturn, which is good. It's supportive for institution, new government structure, helping to stabilize the economic changes. Again, especially if there's a reset, there is support for this new government, for these long-term planning and stability. Stronger alliances and networks, cooperation with groups and global organizations become more reliable and stronger. I feel that they're going to have more of a presence on the global world stage. And turning idealistic visions into practical strategies. This is very supportive of the changes that South Africa will likely go through within its government, within its economy, with Saturn and Neptune sextile to natal Saturn at 29 degrees. It's the ending of a degree. It's like they're ready to mature, ready to move past the corruption, to become just a better to make their country, say more honest, but more moving forward in a more positive direction, leaving the oldness of the corruption behind, making themselves stronger in the world, having a stronger presence within the world stage, countries coming to them and viewing them as I don't say equals, but viewing them as almost like that they've matured. You know, when you're 15 years old, you're at one level of maturity. When you become 30 years old, you're at a different level of maturity. I see it like that. It's like they've gone from what they are now, and they're at this different level of maturity that is seen differently by countries, respected by countries. Yeah. There'll be some changes, though. You know, before all the changes happen, I likely see chaos and some challenges for lots of countries, but coming into a better place for South Africa. Sweden. Sweden is in the 7th house. Saturn, Neptune conjunct each other in Aries at 0 degrees in the 7th house. And there was no transits to any other planets within their chart. I found this interesting as well. Not bad, not good. I just found it interesting. Okay, 7th house. This is partnerships, new alliances. Perhaps letting go of old partnerships and alliances that were not beneficial to the country. Maybe seeing the different countries changing and forming new alliances for the country. Okay, alliance restructure. Major shifts in treaties, partnerships, international relationships. Redefining how Sweden engages with allies, rivals, and global organizations. Perhaps they, I don't want to say put up boundaries, but perhaps they are setting putting up their own boundaries of how they want to do things. Sweden has not gone to war, doesn't have conflict with other countries. But they could at some point be like, okay, these are our terms, you know, you have to accept them or not, but these are our terms and this is what we are doing. Okay, some alliances could dissolve while other ones form slowly. Like I said, this could be that they're realizing that maybe some alliances they have are not beneficial for the country, and so they need to dissolve. This could be shocking, because again, I don't know a lot about Sweden's alliances and who they're aligned with, but they could realize that there's certain countries that they do have alliances and partnerships with, and they need to dissolve them because they're not beneficial for them whatsoever. Okay. A new national identity, relational identity. Sweden adopts a fresh approach to global cooperation and diplomacy. Again, Sweden is not a country that is fighting with other countries, but they could be, from the new partnerships and agreements, they could be having new cooperations, new diplomacy with other countries. I see this as a very positive thing with Sweden. And the sun will trinatal Uranus in Scorpio in the 2nd house. This is exact on the day of this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Very, very, very positive. So transiting sun is in the 6th house. Natal Uranus is in the 2nd house of Scorpio. Sudden, quick changes within the finances, within the values of the workers of the day-to-day health sector. There could be breakthroughs within the health sector, within, I want to say actually breakthrough within coming out with new technology of finding cures for different health issues, or maybe just a new health system that is revamped to be even better than what they have now. But I see this as a breakthrough in finding cures for different ailments via technology. Positive disruption, breakthrough in the work system, health sectors. I just said that. Support and reform, smooth energy for updating outdated structures. So they could be just going through and updating some structures that are no longer working, not in a disruptive way, but more in a way that, okay, we know that this isn't working anymore. Let's change it. We're going to change it now. This is the plan, and we're going to move forward with these plans. Venus conjunct natal Jupiter, very positive. Smoother workflow, better cooperation in workplaces, government services. So maybe the government expanding its help that they give to the people, especially within their healthcare system. I don't know what they do for their healthcare system, but it could be improving. Benefits for workers, union, public employees, and national support programs. So it seems like the work sector, the day-to-day things that people do there for work, and health is going to be radically shifting and improving, which is good. So it's very positive for Sweden. Okay. Iran. Okay, so Iran, their date of birth is December 3rd, 1979 in Tehran. This is when their latest constitution was put into place. This is in the 8th house, Saturn, Neptune sextile. Saturn, Neptune conjunct in Aries in the 8th house. Finances, power, restructuring of finances. Again, this is not personal finances. This is more, what did I say? International. It's not international. It's large institutional finances. That's what it is. And Saturn Neptune will sextile the natal moon in Taurus. Very positive, actually, for Iran. These are sextiling the natal moon in Taurus. So financial and resources transformation, similar to China, where the restructuring of national funds, tax, debt, hidden economic systems, corruption could be revealed within the financial system, exposure of secrets, covert operations, and concealed power dynamics could surface. Crisis-driven reform, pressure to change survival strategies, alliances, and shared resources. Shifts in power structures. Old systems dissolve and new ones slowly form. I know that they recently had the election of a new head of Iran. This could be further amplifying what they're building now. But finances look to be going through a restructuring type of process. And this is sextile to the natal moon. This is very supportive of the people. The people, the culture shifting, the communication, the ideologies of the people are shifting and changing, moving from what they used to, how society used to have to be. Perhaps people feel threatened by having to do certain things in a certain way within society, but it's like they're finding freedoms, new freedoms within the country for the people. Citizens could feel grounded despite deep changes, especially if it has to do with the financial system, but they could be seeing this as a positive that they are finally moving forwards with certain ways of how they have been ruled for so long. And beneficial for diplomacy, education, and long-term vision. Now, how the world sees them will likely be changing as well. Especially, again, it's a financial and restructuring and everything will be stressful, but it's as if the people are starting to feel a breath of fresh air. That they feel comfortable. They're free. They feel maybe that they're getting more freedoms, finding their footing in the world, in the global world stage again, not seen as a threat of how they've been seen for quite some time. Two different countries, for different reasons. Mercury will square to natal Neptune. Okay, so because things could be changing economically, there could be some confusion with diplomacy, misinformation in negotiations of international dialogue, government messaging conflicts with national identity. Because they're going to be going through all of these changes, there will likely also be some confusion to other countries, to how other people see them. And it will take some time to pan out, to iron out, to get everything settled. But it's also exposing deep hidden secrets within the country that maybe people believed, maybe people thought they had to live a certain way or deal and do certain things. But it's changing the perception of the homeland, of the country, of the relationships to other countries. And you have Mars squaring to natal Uranus in the 3rd house. Okay, so it could be, again, what I said with it was economic, what did I say? Economic shift. Okay, restructuring of national funds, debt, taxation, and hidden economics. Okay. Because of this, people could also feel, obviously they're going to feel the disruption if there's an economic reset or shift within the government. And people could protest. People could also be protesting they've seen the changes, some changes so far. They could be further protesting to get more of the changes. Perhaps the changes are happening slowly and they want them to, now they've seen certain changes happen, they want all the changes maybe to happen at once. So there could be some uprising, challenges, and volatility within this time period going through all of these changes. Even though some people might feel comfortable or like, I'm fine, we're getting these freedoms, we're changing our governments, but people could still want more and they're not satisfied with the pace that it is going. I also have cyber attacks, tech-related conflicts could be also occurring with this, with Mars in Aquarius squaring to Neptune and Scorpio. Cyber attacks could also be something that they're dealing with on a large level. Israel. Oops. So I have May 14th, 1948, Tel Aviv. Saturn, Neptune in the 7th house, squaring a lot of fortune. A lot of fortune is fated events occurring, fated events that happen and that occur. In the 7th house, this is happening. This is about partnerships, their alliances. Alliances will likely to definitely be changing. Squaring a lot of fortune. That's in the 4th house. Okay. Partnerships, alliances will likely to definitely be changing for Israel. They already have been happening and starting, but it could further be happening during this time. During this time, Uranus is also squaring to Mars, natal Mars at 28 degrees in the 11th house of Leo. Sudden disruptions. Okay, let me just, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Israel, Saturn, Neptune conjunction. Alliance restructuring, shifts in treaties, partnerships, international agreements. Relationships with other nations may dissolve, become unclear before stabilizing. There's been a lot going on with Israel this year in many different ways. And different alliances could start to be pulling away more from Israel. And Israel could be coming also into new partnerships with different countries. Legal and negotiation pressures. So legal, courts, contracts, peace agreements face heavy reevaluation And we've seen this, that there was the peace agreement, and now it seems to no longer be valid any further. This could continue, and that could also be a reason why that there's changing alliances. A new approach to allies and to enemies, redefining on how Israel engages with both partners and opponents. So it's squaring, Saturn Neptune squaring part of fortune. Again, this is fated events happening in the homeland of Israel. External relationships impact economic and domestic fortune. Family, land, housing, international cohesion, the strain of external dynamics. Okay, so Israel could be facing more people, more countries. They have more opposition from different countries, and as a result of that, they could be facing with attacks possibly from other countries that are disagreeing what they have done in the past. And it's going to affect the home front, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there could be more conflict with Israel, whether it's within Israel or with Israel with other countries. Argentina. We're almost done here, guys. Argentina. Oh, okay. Israel there, the banker. Okay, so with Israel, a lot of fortune. They could be facing karma from things that they have done to other countries. And these fated events are happening as a result of things that they have done to other countries, to other people, to other financial endeavors around the world. Yeah. It could also be revealing the secrets of what Israel is doing, and other people are challenging them on that. Argentina. So I have January 11th, 1995 for Argentina, when the latest constitution was created. This is also in the 7th house. Partnerships, alliances is occurring. Saturn, Neptune will trine natal Venus in the 3rd house and to Pluto, and sextile to Lilith in Gemini. I see for Argentina, this is another one that had very positive transits with Saturn and Neptune. They could be coming out into, again, more of a global partnerships with people. Their country could be looked at and more respected around the globe, especially with this Saturn Neptune trying to natal Venus. Perhaps what was thought of this country is being dissolved. They are coming out the new presence, a new aura, a new way of how people see Argentina. I see this as a very positive for Argentina. Partnership reset, major shifts in treaties, alliances, and diplomatic relationships. And again, like Israel, old agreements dissolve, new ones form, important negotiations in trade and cooperation deals. I see them as gaining new trade and deals with other countries, positive for Argentina. Saturn, Neptune trine natal Venus. Negotiations, talks, deals, improved messaging, especially because it's in the 3rd house, boosting trade, the local economy, opportunities in commerce, transport, and the information sectors. I see Argentina prospering, going through almost like a rebirth of its country during this time. Oh, wait. And Saturn, Neptune trying to Pluto, power, financial transformations, strong control over the national resources, rebuilding value systems from the ground up. They have a lot of natural resources in Argentina, and they could be starting to use them further and further amplify a stronger global dominance, a stronger global presence. And Saturn, Neptune sextile to natal Lilith. Again, reclaiming their voice in global matters and global world stage. Freedom and redefining Argentina's worldview and global identity. Again, I feel this is very positive for Argentina. Brazil. October 5th, 1988 is when their last constitution was, or most recent constitution was formed. This is in Saturn, Neptune are conjunct in Aries in the third house, communication. The country, the people of the country, Saturn, Neptune are next to Mars, trine the midheaven. Saturn and Neptune right here. Sorry about that. I have, where is it? Right here. Saturn, Neptune right here, next to natal Mars. And it is also trining to the midheaven in Scorpio. Very positive. And this is also squaring to that part of fortune in the 11th house. Okay. So while positive, there could be some challenges also with this. Possibly for things that have happened in the past that is coming back to that they have to deal with in order to move forwards. That is in the 11th house. It could be communication with other countries, how the world sees them having to redefine who they are, redefining who they are so people can get past maybe their past actions. So Saturn, Neptune in the third house, next to Mars. This is pretty powerful. Communication, information, major changes in media, messaging, national dialogue for the country, for their country in Brazil. New national narrative, old stories dissolving, new direction beginning for Brazil. And local restructuring of different systems, education, transportation, logistics, public communication undergo reform. So the country itself looks to be really restructuring, reforming, rebuilding itself. Next to Mars. Oops. Now this is aggressive communication. Bold messaging, strong national voice, strong national pride. There could be some misinformation and disputes, rising activism, but things could be happening quickly for Brazil. Restructuring, redoing everything in their country, rebuilding their country. Things will likely happen quickly for Brazil. Yeah, education as well looks like to be rebuilt quickly as well. Transportation, information systems, quick moving, quick building. So if something falls apart, dissolves, whatever it is will rebuild very, very quickly. Trining to the midheaven, Saturn, Neptune, strong leadership image. Again, the image of Brazil, I feel, will have more of a stronger global presence. People will be respecting them more. In the part of fortune, the fated events, this could be, there could be friction within political groups and social movements within the country itself, or there could be some things that they've done in the past that is almost, it's coming back, but they must deal with this. It's a fated event that they must deal with in order to also move forward. Something that they just can't avoid of something happening. Mexico. This is our last one. There's other countries that I did want to do, but there's a lot of countries that I just did, so I can always go back and do this again. So if you guys do have other countries you guys are interested in, or you're interested in looking more at one specific country, let me know in the comments, because I will do that. Mexico was formed, the newest constitution, February 5th, 1917. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in its 11th house and trine to its natal moon and Neptune, very positive, and square to Pluto and the ascendant. So Saturn, Neptune right here, it is in a trine to its natal moon in the 3rd house in Leo. And Neptune, where's Neptune? And Neptune, because Neptune and Pluto are conjunct in their natal chart. Squaring to Pluto, Saturn, Neptune will be squaring to natal Pluto and the ascendant. Power shifts, power changes, could be governmental shifts, some big power changes happening here with Pluto. Okay. 11th house has to do with groups, friends, I would say the community, the country, future goals of the country, innovation, freedom, uniqueness, and again, dissolving illusions, restructuring, discipline, karma, paying for things that they've done in the past. This is with all countries. I just didn't say that. Reconstruction of alliances, a reset in international groups, treaties, and collaborations. Shifted social movements, large organizations, political groups, collective causes dissolve or reform. Now, in Mexico, we know that they do have a lot of cartels there. There could be a restructuring of this. They could be perhaps, I don't want to say overthrowing them. That's not what I'm saying, but there could be a move to break them down or not have them be such an influence and such a force within their country. Possibly. Trine to the natal moon in the 3rd house, improve communication with the public, and easier connection to the national mood. This is good. I think this is very positive for the people of Mexico. Stronger cultural expression, media, education, messaging to boost national pride. People being very, not that they're not very proud of their country, but like becoming more prideful in their country. Better ability to explain the reforms and the changes. Going through the changes, restructuring with different alliances, people will take to it more. They'll be more open to the changes. And Saturn, Neptune, or trine to Neptune. This is inspirational, artistic. They could be going through a like an artistic, not a rebellion, but a revitalization. Forget what it was called. Back when Leonardo da Vinci and all Michelangelo, the Renaissance, like almost like a Renaissance period, they could be going through. Saturn, Neptune squaring to Pluto. There could be some financial tensions and struggles over money. Transforming value systems, changing their value systems. Old financial patterns breaking before renewal. I think that's going to be a big theme with a lot of countries. And squaring the ascendant, identity could be definitely changing. Communication versus actions may appear inconsistent. Need to redefine Mexico's outward personality. A new public identity emerging. Again, I think that for all countries in general, there will be some challenges, that there will be many challenges occurring, but they're redefining those different parts of their chart, different aspects of the countries. One thing I want to say before I do end, because that is my countries, is that this is something we have never experienced before. What I'm saying right now could happen, but I feel that things could happen on a level and in a way that we are not understanding. We have no words for it. Changing in such a radical shift, in a radical way that, like I said, it just changes everything for everyone in this way that we are not aware of. Big changes. This is going to be a big deal, Saturn Neptune conjunct. So that is all I have. That was a lot. If there's any countries that you would like to see, I will come back and revisit this again, because there's also many other countries out there. Or if there's a country that you want to see more in depth, let me know in the comments as well, because I can go into it in more detail. This is just a very general overview of these countries. Major shifts, major shifts are coming. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, and share.